Hi, I'm Brien Lundin of Gold Newsletter and the New Orleans Investment Conference, and I'm here with one of our more spectacular recommendations that has been making a lot of money for our readers, Vizsla Resources. And I'm here with Michael Connert and Charles Funk, and we're just reviewing. And I wanted to press record because we've been talking about what's been going on with the company, and I don't want to waste all this great information that they've been giving me. So I had to press record real quick so we can capture some of this. But let's begin. Guys, if you had a couple of weeks ago put out your wish list of items that you would love to happen over the next few weeks or even couple of years, would you have put what has happened to the company over the last 2 or 3 weeks? Would you have been bold enough to put that down on your wish list, or would you have thought that might have jinxed things if you were reaching so high?
Well, we'd always kind of hoped that this would be the series of events, and of course, planning for success. But it's an incredible feeling and an incredible string of events to have happened. Charles and his team, the success in the field with that amazing discovery, and the subsequent financing and basically answering the question how we were going to fund the rest of the project here it's been spectacular. So didn't see it happening so quickly, but very thankful that it did.
Well, things can happen quickly when you put out drill results, and I just put it up here in front of me as I'm talking because I don't deal with large numbers that well. And we're talking tens of thousands, or let's just say tens of thousands of grams per ton silver equivalent. One hit 21,000 and change grams per ton silver equivalent over about a meter, a little bit less than a meter. So this is kind of the typical high grade Mexican silver vein hosted deposit on steroids. Would that be a fair way of putting it, where you've got these ultra rich, I mean, it's not just silver, this is, multi-metal, but a decent gold numbers as well. But I mean, I guess in that respect, the gold numbers are even a bit different than a typical silver deposit in Mexico.
I mean, it's 2-3 ounces of gold in some of those sub intervals there. It's spectacular. Just the silver numbers on their own are spectacular. Just the gold numbers on their own are spectacular. But when you have that plus high grade zinc and lead as well, this is not something that you see very typically. And for again, I referring to Charles and his team because they've done such an excellent job. But for them to do that on the 7th hole on that vein, it's. You don't see that very often. So it's,
and this itself, this big hit, that's a step out, right, from the previous results that were very good as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 2nd hole was actually the initial, what we consider the discovery hole, and that was a hell of a discovery. It was 8 meters, over 8 meters at 1.5 kilos silver equivalent, and we didn't think we would do 10x that on the next step out.
So what can you tell us then about this vein as far as understanding its orientation, about any information you have on its strike extent into depth, et cetera? What are we looking at in terms of tonnage? I know we can't get too greedy and ask for a whole lot of tonnage at these grades, but still at a fraction of these grades, you've got something extremely rich. So what are we looking at in terms of size potential here?
I think we're still working out what that could be, Brian. We've drilled it now along strike for about 150 meters north and south, and so we've stepped down in a few holes to try and work out what that depth dimension could be, and that's what we're doing at the moment. So, we think anything over sort of 500 grams silver equivalent should have good margin. Yeah. And then we're going to get these little jewelry box zones. It's not always going to have such high gold. It's not always going to have such high silver either. But we'll have these little jewelry box zones in it when you're in the middle of it. So the discovery itself is over 150 meters by 100 meters at the moment. We'll start to drill more deeper holes now that we've done the stepping out a little bit. But the entire vein corridor at Napoleon, 2 kilometers long, these are the only drill holes ever in it. So we also want to go north and south and see whether there's more ore shoots along the vein.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. It's probably a point that the market's picking up now because of the recent surge in the share price, that you're really just, scratching the surface, to use a a tried expression in the mining game. 100 meters by 150 meters thereabouts, it's still, for something of these grades, that's still very significant. You know, a lot of companies, when they get things like this, they'll step out 10 meters so they can keep producing these kinds of results for the market, but that's still sizable. But as you say, we're talking multi-kilometer potential on veins and series of veins and a tremendous property position here. So you've got a lot of work ahead of you, and a lot of results coming out. So what about some of these other targets then? Where do they fit into the plans going forward?
Yeah, I think that's one of the real strengths of Panuco. You know, we've got this district with over 75 Ks if you added all the veins up on end on end. And the majority of those veins have never been drilled. So we've sort of focused on 3 corridors. The Animus corridor that we got some good results from, but not spectacular early days, that's seen most of the mining. And then we had 2 more that we worked up. Napoleon, where we've just made the discovery that's wide open from a potential perspective. The entire vein will never be mineralized, but as long as we can get shoots along that vein, we can really stack some ounces up at these grades. And then we currently have a secondary drilling at Cordon del Oro, another 5-kilometre long vein with excellent surface results, small scale workings, just never been drilled before. So to have all these targets that are just, you know, to have greenfield targets with a mill on the property is an unusual combination.
Yeah, and looking at that, that was one of the big risk factors with the play, in that you had to get the mill in this portion of the property where you have the high grade targets you're drilling now, was about a $23 million kind of balloon payment on the option. And then for the larger property position, roughly another 20 million or so. So somewhere over $40 million is to get the whole package in. And that was considering when you made the deal, before this really buoyant junior mining share market, before the metals took off. That was a really bold move and a bold statement in what you thought the potential was. But now that risk factor, because of your recent financing, has essentially been wiped away. Can you tell us about that financing, what it brings to you both now and with warrants, and who your shareholders are?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, it was took, I think, a lot of big vision, I think, from the beginning, where we were just a, you know, maybe a $5-10 million market cap company taking a swing at this entire district. But when we saw what the potential was, we knew that, you know, we had to at least take that chance. And so what we've done now with this recent financing with Eric Sprott as a lead and some you know, very fantastic other institutions as partners of ours now, we've now got the entire exploration program covered. But better than that, we have you know, the Rio Panuco property payment essentially covered through the exercise of the warrants. So there's a number of warrants that'll bring in roughly around $40 million Canadian to the company if they're all fully exercised at the end of the program here. So when we went into meetings, you know, the biggest question was, sure, you have the grade, you have the size, you have the fast track to production, but you know, you still have to execute on these options. And you know, now we've basically answered that question. So all we need to do is focus on demonstrating the scale and the grade, and you know, we can, you know, take that big question mark out of the equation right now. So we're very, very, very happy to have these partners, and Eric Sprott and the others that are supporting us in this financing. And yeah, I think it's created you know, an excellent opportunity for Vizsla just to be successful at exploring.
So to sum it up, great project. Now you've come a long way. You had some great results. From share price level, you've made a big move. But again, this is just a fraction of the property, a fraction of the cumulative length, the veins that you're going to put out. You're going to have your drilling costs are covered. Your big risk factor and the option payments should be covered. You should have no problem raising money much higher levels. So if anybody's looking for a big discovery play in silver, and I think what people should look at too, and I think what the market's looking at, is even at these levels, when you look at some of the big silver discoveries and big silver companies out there of the last 5 or 10 years, you're still at a fraction of their size, but you have a land position that gives you at least a path toward those kinds of levels.
Mhm.
So very exciting times, guys. I'm glad that had a chance to have this catch-up call. What's the news flow look like over the next couple of weeks? Are there?
Uh, well, of course, we're looking to close the financing towards the end of the month here, and then after that, it's really you know, very steady news flow from 3 moving on to 4 rigs across the entire district. And of course, you know, the goal here is to demonstrate this huge district, a district where you can fit 5 or 6 other very topical silver companies' land packages in our land package. And you know, it's never really been drilled. It's hardly ever been explored. And now we're going to be the first company in the history of this district to have multiple rigs turning on various different multi-kilometer vein trends that have never been drilled. So, you know, constant news flow from the field, and you know, I don't think this, you know, you couldn't ask for a more exciting story to follow.
So you're drilling right now and you're closing the financing. So there's going to be a bit of a quiet period, I would think, and probably some backup drill results after that. So I would think we'd have a lot of news within a couple of weeks or in a couple of weeks or so. Guys,
Yeah.
thank you so much for the update. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on everything. Look forward to bigger and better things to come. And it looks like they are. So thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian.